Alright, so I just looked at the last recording and I realized that it is laggy as hell. So I changed some OBS settings and hopefully it should fix the 60, sorry, not the 60, the FPS problem, which will make it easier to follow along. But anyways, if you missed anything because of the shitty OBS settings, then I'll show it to you now. So first I'll show you the key code. So this is it. Pause the video to copy this down. Scroll down a little. These are the getters. Right? Just copy this down. This is in the key class. In the key manager, we have this. These are the imported packages. Remember, we implement the key listener into our key manager class. We have our list of keys. We have our update method right here. Copy this down. Copy all of these is held, on press, and on release methods. Pause the video again to copy it down, and then these final methods: key typed, key pressed, and key released. So pause the video to copy all of these down if it isn't correct or if you missed it. And then over here as well, here is an enum, just copy this. And then in the scene, just copy all of these contents down. You can pause the video once again to make sure everything's right. This is in the scene class. Make sure that it is abstract, as pointed out right here. In the test scene, test scene, just make sure you got this down, because this is where we are leaving off. And then the other test scene, right? Don't really need to copy that. And then make sure you've got all of this down. This is the important stuff. Actually, let me here. Let's do this. Alright, so make sure you got all of these objects down. Alright, make sure you implement runnable, of course. Okay, make sure you got this down. Make sure you got this down. And the change scene class, this is a very important class. This as well, which is the second part of that same change scene method. And then make sure you've got all of the initialization stuff down as well. You create the frame, you create the canvas, combine the JFrame and canvas, create input listeners, add the input listeners to the frame, set everything to visible, and change the scene. Make sure you got all this down. Alright, so yeah, I'm just gonna scroll through and pause the video if you want to copy anything down, if you missed anything. And then after that, we will work on the mouse listener. Okay, so now that we've gotten that, fuck you OBS, honestly. Like, why? Now that we've got that down, sorry if I sound a little tired. I literally did not sleep last night. I did not sleep. Let's create a new Java class in the mouse package called mouse manager. And this is going to implement two things. It's going to implement, implement mouse listener and the mouse motion listener. And then you're just going to implement all of the methods from all of the interfaces that we just implemented. And before we deal with this crap ton of methods, let's just create some basic stuff. So we'll have private static final array list of buttons called all buttons, mouse buttons equals to new array list. All right. And then let's do static int of x mouse and y mouse. And then the x move, and then the y move. This is like the x and y offset of since it was last detected. Sorry, I can't speak, whatever. Public static int x dragged, y dragged. So this is like the distance between if you like hold down. It's basically when you do this, right? You drag your mouse by holding down, and when you highlight, it's just checking by how much you've dragged your cursor. Okay, so let's actually create this mouse button class. So it's going to be in the same package. Just create a new Java class called mbtn. And we're going to have a couple of things. First and foremost, let's have private final int button code. And then we'll have the state. Call this the queued state, right? You might recognize this from our previous stuff, from our previous key listener. Let's create a constructor. Passes in the button and the state, the initial state. Initialize everything. Create some setters. Make sure we can queue states. This part is very important. mbtn state. There we go. This dot queued state equals to state. And then let's make another getter for the button code. Just return the btn code. btn stands for button. Then let's make a getter for the current state. Okay, so now let's create that that mouse button state. I think it's a enum. Yeah, it's an enum. So just call this mbtn state. Make sure it's public, and then we're gonna have held, pressed, released, and idle. All right. What do you want? What's the problem? Oh, mbtn state. There we go. So I'm just now realizing that the contents of this mouse button enum is the same as the contents of the key states enum. We have held, pressed, released, idle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new Java class called input states. It's going to be an enum. And we're just going to copy this stuff over here in the input states. And now we can delete this along with the mouse button states. Now let's fix it up. So over here we'll have input states. Anyway, let's rename this so that it's a singular name, because that makes more sense. Input state. And what we can do is just do Command R and say, look for any key state, text, and replace it with input state. And then we can replace all. All right. Let's see. Same thing here. We'll do Command R, and we'll replace anything that says mbtn state with input state. Replace that. Just import the class. What's going on? Oh, okay. So let's make sure we have any errors coaxed out over here. So let's delete that. This can be that. And now we just have one enum for these buttons instead of like, okay, let's just do Command R again. Key state, replace that with input state, replace all, and we are good. All right. Let's make sure we don't have any errors. I'm just gonna press the build button. And if there are any, it should tell us. Doesn't look like there are. Okay, so let's continue on with the mouse manager. Now that we've finished that, we can create an update method just like we did in the key manager. Right? Create a for loop that iterates through all of the mouse buttons, and we set each state. Alright, so make sure you got that down. And now we're going to be creating those other methods like we did before, where we actually detect the inputs. So we'll do public static boolean is held, and we have to pass in the button code. Alright, that's one done. Let's do the on press now. This is exactly what we did in the key manager, by the way, so if you want an explanation for what's happening, just refer to that video. Public static boolean. And then we're going to do the on release one finally. Alright, that's all of those done. Let's create some getters now. So I'll do public. Actually, I believe we can just do, you know what, whatever, let's just, yeah, create a bunch of getters for those variables above, because we are going to need them. Alright, so we've got that done. I know it's very tedious, but it has to be done. Now let's work on the implemented methods. So we're not actually going to use the mouse clicked method. We will be using the mouse pressed method and the mouse released method. Whoops. So yeah, okay, so we're using that, and then we aren't using the mouse entered. Nor the mouse exited. But we will be using the mouse dragged and the mouse moved. Alright, so let's start from the top. Let's do the mouse pressed first. So we're going to do a for loop, just like usual. And we're going to iterate through all of the mouse buttons. The hell whoops. If mbtn.getState, so we're checking if the state is equal to held. So if we're holding the key, then we're just gonna return. And actually the better term should be continue. So alright. And we're gonna check if the mouse button .get button code is equal to e.get button, and the state is equal to idle. Then we are just going to queue a new state, pressed, and then we're gonna return. And over here we'll do all btn.add new mbtn e.get button, and then we're just gonna add pressed. And we might have a problem here. Alright, so if we press W and then it adds that button to the array list, and then we press it again, we don't want it to add it again, we just want to update it. But if it's adding it again, that could cause a lag. Sorry, I can't talk today, because as I said, I did not sleep last night. God damn. I'm trying to adjust my sleep schedule. Alright, so let's work on that mouse released. And gonna do a few checks, make sure that it's the correct button. I really don't want to explain this, but the only thing is we have to update the X dragged, the Y dragged, and the GUI layer, which we will be working on in another episode. Alright, and then down here we'll just do X dragged equals to 0, Y dragged equals to 0, reset those values. And then over here in the mouse dragged, where we will actually update those values, so we'll do X dragged equals to negative X mouse minus e.get X, and Y dragged is equal to Y mouse minus e.get Y. X move is going to be equal to negative, or the inverse, not the inverse, negative e.get X, is that right? X move is equal to negative X mouse, yeah, minus e.get X, okay. And then we'll do Y move is equal to Y mouse, Y move is equal to Y mouse minus e.get Y. There we go. Dash all done. Alright, let's put a to-do for the next episode. We'll do X move equals to negative. Is it the same thing? Yes. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Yeah. So just copy these. Alright, how much longer? Okay, we're 23 freaking minutes. Alright, I gotta end this faster. Good lord. Alright, so I think that's pretty much it. It's the mouse manager all done. My eyes are bleeding. So yeah, let's test it out. So let's do if mouse manager dot on. Let's do on press, and we'll do. I do not remember the buttons. I think okay. Let's do mouse event dot button 1. I think that might be left click. I'll just say pressed on button 1. So I'm on a trackpad, but this will also work for a mouse. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Crap. Oh wait, I'm an idiot. It's because we're not creating the mouse manager yet. So let me just undo that. There we go. So we've created the mouse manager and everything, but we aren't actually like using it, right? So remember here, do private mouse manager, mouse listener, call that mouse listener, and then we're just gonna do the same thing we did with the key listener, right? Just like that, and we'll do frame dot. Actually, I'm not sure if it's the frame or the canvas this time. It might be that, yeah, it's the canvas. We'll do canvas.add mouse listener. We'll add the mouse listener, and then canvas.add mouse motion listener. That's going to be the mouse listener. And then in the update method, we're going to just do mouse listener.update. There we go. Now it should work. Let's run it. You can see down here, pressed on button 1. I'm going to left click, so that means clicking with on the trackpad with one finger. You can see I'm pressing it. Q. And mouse released should also work, so we'll just do button 1 on release, and we'll say released. And how about we also do button 2, which I believe is right click. So I'll just do that. So, alright, so I'm going to press down with my one finger onto the trackpad, the equivalent of a left click, in 3, 2, 1. You can see it says pressed on button 1 down below. And now I'm going to release it in 3, 2, 1. You can see it says released button 1, so it works. And then if I right click, nothing happens because I probably got the buttons wrong. I bet you this is 3. Let's try that. Yep, it's 3. Button 3 is right click. So on a Mac, we have this control button, which is the same as right click. So I'm just gonna. Okay, that doesn't work. Whatever. Right click. Yeah, right click, pressed on button 3. Yep, there. It works. And my eyes hurt, but you guys play around with this while I take some Tylenol. So, yeah, see ya.